I'm going to show you how to put tabs on the end of a zip so that when you sew them into your bag or zip pouch, you've got a nice neat edge. So I've got a 6-inch zip and it's measured from the tab here to the tab, from the tab here to the tab there. So that's where it's measured from, not from the end of the tape, so it's 6 inches. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So my bag is going to be 8 inches wide, so I've actually cut my fabric to 8.5 inches, and it's whatever length you want it to be. I've cut out my 2 pieces of fabric I'm going to make my tabs from, and they are 2.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and I've got 2 of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take them to the ironing board, and I'm actually going to fold under and iron 1/4 inch on either of the long edges of the edges. I'm just eyeballing a 1/4 inch. You can measure it if you want. And then once you've done that, fold them in half and iron them. Just give them a little press. Okay, and that's our tabs already done. So next, we're actually going to put these on the ends of the zip. So we've got our zip. Now, that metal there is right in the way where I want to sew. So what I'm going to do is I'll get a pair of pliers and I'll actually take that off, and we'll come back to it in a moment. Okay, I've removed the metal stopper from there, and I've just put a few zigzag stitches over there to stop the zip coming undone. Okay, we can now we can clip these on with clips like this and clip them on, or we can use quilters tape. And what I would do is put some quilters tape on your 1/4 inch seam allowance, 1/4 inch fold, and on there. Take the paper off. Oh, that can be the trickiest part, is taking the paper off. Okay, take our zip, place our zip inside the tab, right up to the end of the fold, and then fold this over and press down. Got a little bit of thread there, let's cut that off. There we go, and press that down, and we can do the other end, and then place make sure these 2 edges here meet up and are level, because you don't want to stitch on the top and find you've missed it underneath. So we're now ready to stitch. So I'll stitch this and come back. Okay, I've stitched on the 2 tabs, Now we're going to actually insert the zip into the bag. So right side to right side, and we're going to actually put the edge of the bag against the edge of the zip. So these, can you see they're over there? So what you can do, you can actually just trim them off. So zip right side to right side of the bag, and we're going to make sure it's equal, the gap either side. I've allowed 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you look at this, it's probably a little bit more than 1/4 inch, but it's okay because we'll be able to get nice neat edges. So I'm just clipping it in place. Okay, and then I should take to my machine and I'm going to actually stitch this in. Okay, I've placed some quilters tape on there. So I've decided it'd be easier to put the zip in with that. So let's take the tape off and just position your zip in place. You can move the tab so that's all in place. Give it a nice press down, and away we go to go and stitch it on the machine. Okay, I've stitched in that side. I'm now going to stitch the other side. Going to remove the back in and place it on the fabric. Make sure your edges line up. Just move that out of the way. You can just take this off and reposition it. Once you're happy it's in place, give it a nice press and take it back to the machine. Okay, I've stitched both sides of my zip down. Make sure these ends here you do reverse to secure them, because they are not going to be stitched in sides of your bag together. Make sure they match up. Use your clips. Again, just clip them in place. And also along the bottom, and take it back to your machine and stitch. Make sure you do actually have the zip halfway open, otherwise you won't be able to turn your bag inside out. Right, take it to the machine and then I'll be back. So I've stitched my side seams, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and if you look you can see I've actually pushed the tabs down when I've sewn. Okay, when you sew you should not be catching any of those tabs in your seam allowance. And there you can see we've got a nice neat edge. You can actually top stitch your zip down if you want, Okay, so that's your zip with your tabs. I hope that's been helpful for you.